Hello and welcome to another Liverpool Way podcast. We're recording this just after another pretty dismal showing from the Reds. At least we didn't lose this time. We were rubbish in the first half yet again, conceded the first goal yet again, improved after the break, got ourselves in front before conceding another goal to drop 2 more points and continue the pathetic limp to the finish line. We were also subjected to the sight of Klopp and Salah having a public falling out on the touchline, and this season just can't end soon enough now. I'm Dave Usher, editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and joining me for this one I've got Paul Natton and Stu Montagu. Alright boys, I was on the other night after the derby. I had plenty to say there. I'm sure there's a lot you've both got to say about what's gone on the last few weeks, including today. So I reckon we just start with the game today. It'll be fairly brief, and then we can just broaden it out a bit, and you can say whatever you want to say about the wider picture and that. But we'll start with you, Paul. Today, what you make of it?
Yeah, today, I mean, I don't know. There were various reactions in the group chat, weren't there? I think people were all feeling different ways, but I think all of us are feeling pretty emotional, just different types of emotion. I mean, I think you mentioned. Yeah, I think you very briefly said something on the last pod, Dave, about me not being on that pod. I said to you I'd do that pod, and then I honestly, I don't think I can remember being that angry at a football match ever on Wednesday night. But then the next morning, walking down to work, I had a couple of miles to work, and I walk every day just to get a bit of exercise, it's a half-hour walk, and you just lost in your thoughts and that, and I just had a fucking knot in my stomach of just felt sick about Klopp going and all the rest of it, and just felt shit all morning, felt shit, probably as bad as I've felt. I mean, it is hard to remember, it is hard to put it into context, and it is hard to kind of think back to equivalent periods, but certainly in terms of football, I think the only thing I can compare it to is when Kenny resigned first time round, and that I had that feeling on Thursday morning. It just felt like the whole era had collapsed. So, I mean, obviously we're going to talk broader later, but that just contextualizes how I felt going into today, and that I had absolutely no expectation of a grand revival, a great performance. I thought I thought dropping more points was very possible, because I just think mentally, and I'm sure we'll do this in much greater depth, the entire squad is gone. I think there's good reasons for that, which we'll get into, I'm sure. So I didn't really have any expectations of a great performance, and certainly had no expectation of a big result. I think that ship has long sailed. I think the wheels have broadly come off, and now it's just about sort of salvaging elements of respectability to limp to the end and retain third place, and that is not, for me, a given at all. So today, first half, just the tempo was really shit. I wouldn't go, it wasn't embarrassing, horrendous, awful like Wednesday, but just the lack of urgency. I hate those I always want to, if I think of football, I want to see it played. If you just put in your minds, we'll all get it straight away. Steven Gerrard, when he fizzes up a pass, that's kind of, and I know that's an ideal that you can't always have, but that's how a ball should be passed to me. I mean, Alonso, I suppose, is the same. We've got a load of players who can play like that, but you fizz the ball is pinged, the ball travels across the ground quickly, and it was just so slow. And just lackadaisical, but the players were not. I don't think any of them were having an absolute nightmare in that first half, but the tempo wasn't there. And again, we'll talk more about mentality later, but in some ways that's to be expected. He brought them in at half time. Something was said. What? I don't know. I mean, it's always, people love to think that all they need is a bollocking and it's all great and they all get fired up. It's not nowhere near as simplistic as that. I'm sure it was much more measured than that, but a conversation was had. There was a clear change in tempo, I think, and urgency. I thought Diaz had been our best player in the first half by a mile. And then we came out second half and he carried on as he'd started, but Robbo was noticeably notches higher.
Yeah.
And Robbo was leading, I felt, verbally as well. I thought that was noticeable in the week, that Robbo was very quiet, and which is so not Robbo, like, just weird. Robbo's one of the most vocal players I think we probably ever had. He doesn't stop talking, and I thought it was just noticeable that he was very front foot. He was talking to the others, he was geeing them up, and then obviously he got the goal. But I think, you know, the way the game turned out was a draw, not a shock at all. I have absolutely zero faith in our ability to defend effectively at the moment. I've got equally little faith in our ability to take chances. I'm not even countenancing this "we're unlucky" vague narrative with the finishing, which I've heard numerous times recently. I think Lindsay Hipgrave said something on the coverage of that. Is it 25 times we've hit the woodwork this season? That's not bad luck. That's really poor finishing. I suppose what it's a measure of, you might argue, why there's so many of them, because we get so many chances, but the finishing itself is shit. So hit the woodwork twice, but it's nothing to do with luck. It's to do with quality in front of the goal. So yeah, it's shit. It's another sort of blanket thrown over us in terms of this end of season malaise. I don't envisage any dramatic turnaround between now and the end of the season. I don't think having 2 of the 3 final games at Anfield is going to be any advantage. In fact, it might make it even harder because the emotional factor will be even worse. So yeah, it was generally a pretty fucking dismal day, albeit not comparable with the absolute fucking shit show that was Wednesday. So a point, yeah, okay. I suppose what I want now is just some semblance between now and the end of the season, some semblance of respect, and then we can just on that last game of the season just have a very emotional send off for Jurgen, because that's all that's left in the season now for me, is to just let him know how much he's loved and let him know how much he's truly appreciated by all of us for what he's given us, which is, well, in my view, the best days of my life in terms of watching Liverpool. Yeah. Which is no small thing to say, as we've said before, because we are the club when it comes to big days, big moments, big wins, great managers, all of it, and I just want him to have that now. That said, if we don't get that, I also think it's understandable. I think these players are now all a little bit broken, and I'm sure we can dig into the bones of that in a minute. But yeah, that's my take on today.
Stu?
Yeah, so today then, I think it's frustrating me because I thought West Ham were just there for the taking, really. I thought that the first half especially, the stadium was quiet, it was so passive, and I just feel like it wasn't... Sometimes you get games where it's, someone's really putting up a fight. I think the derby is a totally different game where they're making it really difficult for you to play. It didn't feel like West Ham were making it difficult for us to play, and I kept feeling like if we just went up one gear in intensity, then there's no way they could have, the game would have been out of sight. So I feel like it's on us there. Whereas I'm looking at the derby and going, that's not just on you. Someone else is doing something to you to stop you from playing. It was on us, and there's this like Paul was saying, the passive way that we're sort of playing football. I've looked at us this season, and I think we've done incredibly well to get a squad that wasn't ready for a title challenge to have a title challenge. I think that's on Klopp, and it's just the timeline of how it's going is ending poorly for him. In that everyone will think, oh, they didn't get over the line, instead of saying, do you know what, this squad got 80 points, and it probably no one expected them to get 80 points, and there was injuries, and if you're telling me that Queeve and Kwanzaa and Bradley have got to play all these games, then nobody's thinking that you've got a title challenge in you, and yet they've done it. But it is the way it's fallen off. It's fallen off in the last few weeks. It's putting us all on a downer. But I am torn as well with the idea that I am quite excited with a new pair of eyes, and I am quite tired of watching the style of football that we've moved to, which just sounds strange because it's got us to a title challenge, but I don't understand what we are at the moment. I don't think Klopp is one of the better managers at coaching, controlling slow football. And I was watching today, we've moved totally away from the talk of the counter press. The counter press is the best playmaker. That's what he always used to say. And if we lose the ball, it's an opportunity for a transition, and you counter press and you win it back, and the opposition aren't in balance, and it's all smash bang wallop. And I realise that's got its flaws, and that he felt like he needs to be more controlled against defences that are camped in. I understand that. I just don't understand what we are doing. The amount of times I look at Kwanzaa or Kanate, they've got the ball at their feet, they're on the halfway line. We will not pass it out to the touchline. Now, whether that's because they feel that opposition will press to the touchline, because that's what happens a lot of the time. Teams use that as a trigger and they press to the touchline because you're going in one direction. But we're forcing everything through the middle, and we've not got those players for doing that. We're not Barcelona. I don't understand why we're trying to tiki-taka our way through the middle. Let's get Trent in there as well. Let's get as many bodies as we possibly can in there. And then we get counted on because all the bodies are in there and we've got 2v2 still on the halfway line. I'm more and more becoming frustrated at it because I don't understand. I don't know what success is meant to look like for that. And teams who do that, and I know Arsenal do that, City do that, they've got wingers where if you fire out to the winger can take someone on. And if it isn't in the first phase, like with Grealish, it isn't in the first phase. Grealish is meant to just look after it and everyone gets into position. And then when it goes to the far wing, someone like Doku can go past someone. That's not us. We are not asking Mo Salah to go and run past someone when he gets the ball out wide. So Thankfully. What are we doing? And when it goes out to him, there's no one in the half space. It's not like we're getting a midfielder. There's like a standard coaching move that you do, which is up, back and through. Just up to the winger, back to the midfielder, through the gap. So that would be a 1-2 or the 10 plays to the 9, up, back and through. We're not set up for that. When that ball goes out wide, we're not doing that. We're doing this slow, get it in the half space on the right, slow. I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to say it's run out of legs because Klopp's engineered a title challenge this year, so it hasn't run out of legs, has it? It's an incredible managerial achievement, I think, to do that, given the players he's been working with. He's won a cup with the kids. It has, to say it's run out of gas or it's run out of legs. Okay, maybe it hasn't, but I don't know. I feel like it's a frustrating thing to watch, and I would, if he was gonna do the same thing next year, and we were gonna do this again, I think I would start getting very frustrated with the coaching, which might be, people might laugh and go, well, a couple of bounces of a ball, Stu, we've won the league. Penalty against City, Tottenham decision, couple of things hit the post and go in, we've won the league. What are you talking about? And that'd be fair. You'd have to take that on the chin. A couple of chances go the other way, then you've got another 5 points and you're there. But I don't know. I'm watching it and going, I'm not sure where the squad and the style is built together properly. That's my main emotion when I'm watching us now. I'm sort of like, what is this? Why are we doing this? And so that's sort of frustrating me a little bit. And it'd be nice if we could win the last couple of games, as Paul's saying, and finish strong. It's frustrating today because I think if we win today, you're top of the league with 3 to go. It's just got a different vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's got a different feel to the end of the season, hasn't it? It's got a different feel. If we could keep getting our nose ahead until 2 games to go, 1 game to go, or whatever, it feels like you were still involved with it until the end. Whereas, Klopp's essentially given up on it. Unless he's saying very different things in the dressing room, what he was saying this week was a bit... It's not... it's not Istanbul, is it? It's not United getting 2 goals against Barcelona in the 90th minute. It's a bit we've given up, which I'm not.
It's not even his words, is it? Stu, it's his body language, his demeanour.
Yeah, the whole vibe just feels like the players are saying
70% of all communication is non-verbal. Well, his non-verbal communication is screaming, "I want this all to end."
Yeah, we're done. But yeah, that's my main vibe on it. That's my feelings anyway. My main feelings on today and the last sort of few weeks anyway.
Yeah, I've not really got much to say about today. I thought it's exactly what I expected. No, because I thought there was a very decent chance we'd get beat. So I wouldn't say it's exactly what I expected, but I'm going to see the team as well. Like, anyone who's been left out can have no complaints about being left out. So I've got no problem with the team selection at all.
Agreed.
But when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to go well. In fairness, I'd say like the big surprise for me today, I thought Gravenberch had a good game. I thought it's the most involved I've seen him in a long time. Wasn't brilliant. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a great performance, but I liked a lot of things I've seen from him. And unlike a lot of the others, I don't think he looked scared. Thought he was willing to try things, and so yeah, he surprised me today. But everyone else kind of just what I expected. Diaz was our best player. Goes back to
Robbo, would you say?
I'd say Robbo. The second half, Robbo was like put us on his back and tried to, to carry us. Like so, I've got no problems with Robbo at all. I'm just saying Diaz is our best player, but again,
agreed.
It's a lot of people didn't like what Brownie said the other night about Diaz, and I think in fairness to Brownie, it was more so like people are like, why are you picking Diaz out after that performance when he was one of our best players, which he was. I don't think it's that. I don't think Brownie was disputing that, like, he was best of a bad bunch. I think it's more, it was an overall point where he's like, he doesn't do enough, he's not scoring enough goals, and don't be fooled by the fact he's doing a lot of like dribbling on the halfway line and he's battling and stuff like that. And I think today's a good example of it. I thought he was our best player today, but if that is your best player, like, that performance, if that's your best player with that performance, you're not going very far, are you? He was fine. I'm not criticising Diaz at all. I'm criticising the others. If what Diaz did for us today made him our best player, well, that just tells you everyone else is like not up to par.
You see, I could see is the sort of performance that I think you could expect to see in a West Ham shirt every week and think, yeah, good player for West Ham. You know what I mean? And I don't know. He just what are the heights with him? You know what I mean? I think he's maybe scored a couple, 2, maybe 3 goals in his Liverpool career where you go, wow. But there aren't many wow moments with him, or significant wow moments. The wow moments come with just beating a man. A big wow moment for me was when he took Rodri and Kyle Walker on, and ran them, and then ultimately did nothing with the ball. You know what I mean? I think if that's this season, if that's a sum total of the wow moments, then that's not great. I think just on that point, I said this in the chat to Brown.
At least he fights though, Paul.
He does. Yeah, he does, Dave. You're right, and I'm not ripping him. Honestly,
he's not a shithouse.
He's not.
Most of the others are showing themselves to be shithouses.
I think a point I've heard numerous times this season is, I think I've made the comparison to Sadio a number of times. I think Brownie did on Wednesday night. And I think people can say, oh, that's unfair. Sadio's one of our best ever players. For me, Sadio is only just behind John Barnes. He's on the bench behind John Barnes for our all-time 11 in that slot. Sadio is an unbelievable player, an absolute warrior. But those are the levels. If you're coming into a team where you've won everything, you've got certainly in my opinion, the best manager we've ever had, but arguably the greatest manager we've ever had, with the best, greatest team we've ever had. There'll be nuances to that conversation, but certainly this lot are in the conversation for any of those all-time plaudits at Liverpool. So if you're coming in to follow those sorts of players, that's the level you've got to reach. Otherwise, you regress. Otherwise, the whole club falls backwards. And if you just make micro adjustments all the time for every player who comes in and says, yeah, but you can't, how can he be Sadio? How can he be the new Bobby? How can he be the new Hendo? How can he be? Then eventually you end up with a shit team. So those are the levels, and if he doesn't match the levels,
unfair, but I know what you're
relatively,
saying.
Relatively, yeah, you are right to pull me up on that. I didn't mean it in a literal sense.
You end up with a lesser team.
Yeah, a lesser team relative to what we've been achieving with this manager.
So, I was going to say, Diaz could probably be your third, can't he? The way I look at it is, Diaz can be your Bobby. If you want to be a successful team, Diaz can probably be the third best forward. That's where I see.
Out of the three, you mean, Stu? Like in terms of quality?
You would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Firmino's in our best ever team because he's got 2. He's the third. He's the facilitator. If you know what I mean. I could see a situation where Diaz is chipping in with 10 a year, and your number 9's incredible, and he's getting 30. And that works because of people are taking different responsibilities.
Just about
see him. Or he's third, swap fourth, whatever. You know what I mean? He comes in for 25, 30 games a year. Another guy gets 25, 30 games a year. Whatever it might be, whether it be him and Gakpo, and you look at it, and they could both probably be the third best player in your side, you need the other two to be firing on all cylinders, scoring the goals. I think probably, don't you?
So it's harsh on Diaz that he's actually getting. I'm not going to say criticised because I don't think anyone's like really having a go.
We're not ripping him, are we?
But the point is, I feel like he's being judged more harshly because the others are not doing the jobs properly, and it's making him look like he's not necessarily doing enough. When really, as you said, Stu, if he's like the third in terms of numbers from like your front three, then it's less of an issue, isn't it? But I like the fight from Diaz today. I think he's put like quite a few of his teammates to shame. He's in this bad spell that we've had. His head's been up the whole time. He's fought. Yeah. He's not okay. He's missed chances like the rest of them have missed chances as well. But he's at least looked like he wasn't a shithouse, and most of the others can't say that about themselves. And today was just the first half was just so flat. West Ham, as you said in the chat, Stu, West Ham were just crying out to be beaten. They were like, they got nothing to play for. Yeah. They got battered last week. There was no response from West Ham after conceding 5 at Palace. It's not like they came out like fire and brimstone wanting to make amends for last week. They came out and they were passive as fuck, and they were just sat there like, well, yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to beat us? And we were like, nah, you're all right. We'll just pass it around slowly and just not really do much. And then the second half, completely different story. But once again, we've conceded the first goal, we've gone behind, we've needed Klopp to fix it at half-time by telling them like what they should be doing. I don't think it was a rocket up the arse. I think it was, as you said, Paul's probably like, look, we've got to play it quicker and look at all these gaps, look at the spaces, why are we not playing in these spaces? Because the second half, we came out and all of a sudden, we're passing it round on the edge of the box and we're getting runners in, and it just looked completely different. So that we get the goal. We've got other chances which we've not taken as usual. Then we get like the flukiest goal of the season, which puts us 2-1 up, and you're like, okay, well, this is all right. Just grind your way to a win here, and it's something to take into next week. Because basically now, I mean, it would have been nice to have gone level with Arsenal, even though we know the games in hand aspect of it. Like it's a false, it's giving you like a false position, if you like. But it would have still been nice to have at least been up there and take it on for like another week or two, where maybe if something ridiculous happens, at least we're there. The fact that like we lost the other night and then we dropped 2 more points today, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what they do. They can lose 2 games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us. It only affects them now. City and Arsenal are going to worry about each other's results. It has no bearing on us anymore at all. We're looking at Aston Villa now. We're 9 points ahead of Villa and they've got a game in hand. So if they beat Chelsea tonight at 6 points, we've got to go to Villa Park. Potentially that could get it to 3 points. We've got to win 2 of our games that we've got left just to be certain that
I've got no faith. I've got no faith that's going to happen, Dave.
I haven't because I don't trust these players at all. I'm looking at them and I'm disgusted. Got to be honest, I'm absolutely disgusted.
Do you know, before we dig into that, should we quickly do the goals? Because I think that'll take us right down the rabbit hole, and I think we've probably all got a lot to say about the players, haven't we? But do you want to do the goals?
Yeah, go on.
So
first goal's a set piece, isn't it?
Yeah, was it the Bowen one?
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought there was just no challenge, was there?
No.
Just bizarre. Like, I mean, and they are a set piece team, and I just think it looks to me like there's no real understanding of who's picking up whom, and there's no real sharpness. People aren't on their toes. Was it
not switched on?
There's no aggression either.
It was
Gakpo.
That's right.
And
Kwanzaa to a slightly less extent, but yeah, the 2 of them are responsible for it. But there's no aggression. Like, you look at the other night against Everton, and every ball that came in the box, Everton won it. Now, yeah, you can say, all right, well, they're a big physical side. That's what they do. I didn't buy into that. I thought, no, we've got to be doing better there. That's just a case of want. Like, they wanted it more than we wanted it. And then you look at that today, well, you're going to start telling me that it's about big players now when it's fucking Jared Bowen who's out jumping you and your 2 6'3" players, and Jared Bowen's getting in and out jumping them to score. That's not about height and physicality. That's just purely about wanting to do it, and we've just not got enough players who are wanting to do it.
Yeah, it's not about height. A lot of heading's about attacking the ball. You can see that some of, like, even lads I've coached, some of the lads that are smaller have got great leaps on them, and they're aggressive. They want to go and attack a football. like you're saying, Bowen's just he's attacking that area, and we're barely switched on from the short corner, and then the ball comes in. Gakpo's at one point not looking at the ball. Trent at one point not looking at the ball. Just too obsessed with his man, and then I mean, to be fair, Kwanzaa has been really consistent for us, but I think a couple of them there, balls into the box where he's just had 2 moments where he's not dealt with them as he should do, really, and that, I suppose that's a learning experience. But he's a big centre half, he's got to do a bit better, and Gakpo's got to get up and win that as well. It's the same thing though, isn't it? It's passive. It's too passive. It's
passive
the attacking play, the attacking play and the defending play. There's just too. It's just too sloppy. It's too. We feel like there's a lot of that in us at the moment. And I think does it. Without wanting to dig them, you don't want to dig out the big players because they've been big players for years. But I do feel like who are the cultural leaders in that side? They are Van Dijk, Trent, Mo. And Van Dijk's been superb. Yeah, Van Dijk's been superb this year.
Every single one, bar Virgil has had big injuries.
So I wouldn't say him, but there is an element of, what I just did was sloppy, but I'll get another one in a minute. Yeah, I fucked it there, but I'll get another one. Even Trent today is producing some great quality, and then he's just tossing shit up in the air as well, and you're like, I don't mind him taking risks. It's his job to take risks on the ball. But just sort of sloppy, lazy outside of the boot shit. Where
the 3v2 in the first half.
Let's do the other goals before we go deep here, boys. There's so much here to say, isn't there? Let's do the goals. Come on, let's get them out the way, and then we can go into this because there's there's so much in the weeds here. I mean, Stu, it feels like you could go miles on that, and I could go miles as well. So let's just get the goals out the way.
Well, I'll do Kwanzaa again then, because on the second one, I think that he's unlucky there because he's lost his man, but Bowen and Antonio have both killed him. It's that moment where, I've lost my man here, and then it's a perfect ball and a perfect header, and you're like, that was annoying. I could have done with someone helping me out here. I could have done with that not being perfect. But he has lost his man again. And the thing with the second goal for me is, again, I don't understand. So the ball comes through really easily. So we're not in a block. We're not in a block in our half, and we're not pressing. So what are we doing? It just feels like it was quite easy for that ball to go out wide. And if you look as the ball goes out wide, there's no midfield in the right area. Again, that doesn't stop that goal. It maybe stops Bowen coming inside. If he comes inside, you've got a midfielder cutting that off. But again, I feel like on stuff like that, we're a bit of a mishmash. We're not this front foot counter pressing team, and we're not sitting in a block. So it's just a bit of a mishmash of what are we doing. For me, again, it is individuals doing jobs, but also it is bits of coaching as well, where I'm like, that doesn't look great. You look at Arsenal, they're hard to play through. You know what you're going to get from them. I feel with us, we're like, you always used to know it'd be front foot, press, get the ball off them before they can play it into forward players. I just think that goal, it won't be looked at like that. It'll be looked at as ball comes in, man lost, good header. But it was another one for me where I'm like, what's the shape there? What are we? How are we defending these passes that are coming through us?
Well, on that note, Stu, that goal actually comes from a spell of about 90 seconds where they had 2 other chances in that spell. Alisson flapped at the cross, didn't he?
Yeah,
and then he makes a brilliant save just after that.
Did it hit him on the head? Did it hit him on the head in that?
He didn't show any replays, I don't know. But what I'm saying is,
popped out of his hands.
That was a spell of them getting the ball into dangerous areas, and then the third time they got in, they scored from it. So it wasn't just it came from nowhere.
Yeah, it wasn't a one-off. You're right.
It was leading up to that. Our goals, Robbo, it's a nice finish. They were blaming the keeper. Yeah, maybe, but I think he's took the shot that early. It's not easy for him to get down and make the save. I just thought
he struck it nicely, didn't he?
I thought
very un-Robbo.
It was a sharp little finish. It was. Yeah. It was a touch and then a quick poke. And I thought, that's good.
And then Cody's game of pinball for the second.
Awful shot. Absolutely awful shot.
Go on, tell us what you put in the chat, Dave.
I said that. Look at him celebrating. We
need at least one laugh on this pod.
I was like, look at him celebrating that goal. Honestly, I would be ashamed. I'd be laughing. Don't get me wrong, I'd be like, I'd laugh, we've scored from my terrible shot. But he was kind of giving it a fired up arm in the air, look what I've just done. I'm like,
no, I thought that was about just getting the second. I thought that was about the team rather than himself.
I just thought I'd be too fucking humiliated to celebrate that.
But as Terry rightly said, you would definitely be celebrating it.
No, and then as I rightly said, there's no way I'd have hit a shot that badly to begin with anyway, so it's all moot.
But you've been telling everyone for years it was flying in the bottom bottom corner, you lying
corner flag, not corner. I'm not even sure it was with the corner flag. It looked like he was going out for a throw in. It was
horrendous.
But it's about time we got,
didn't it, on the way through?
A bit of luck in the penalty area, because we've had absolutely. I know we've not helped ourselves at all, but we've had no luck with like little breaks of the ball and stuff as well in the last few weeks. And that was when I thought, okay, finally something's like actually gone our way in those situations, and that's like the platform now to go on and win the game. And yeah, we had a couple of other chances, but I don't think like we'll get to this in a minute, but like I don't think the substitutions helped. One in particular, and that's a story in itself that we're going to need to address. But
just on that goal, just before we move on, I don't think I've watched it back. How was it given as an own goal by Areola? Because it hit two of his teammates, and surely the second one it was going in.
No, he kicks it off. The guy on the line actually kicks it off the line, if you know what I mean, but he kicks it into the back of the keeper.
Okay.
So that's why it's been given, because he does actually, he stops it going in the direction it's going in, and he sort of hits it into the keeper. It goes in, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Devos, what a horrible way to have an own goal given against you.
Just the 3 different deflections on that goal.
I know, yeah.
But I want to, just on the subject of Gakpo, I want to defend him, because I've seen him getting criticised over the incident when the goalkeepers dropped the ball and Gakpo's ran through. I've seen people criticise him, saying he should put the ball in the net.
Dave, just talk us through your understanding of the whole incident there.
I'm not 100% sure in terms of when whistles have blown or whatever, so I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, what it looked like to me is the keeper's gone down under the challenge, which is not a free kick. A free kick wasn't given. He stayed down, milked it for a bit. Everyone's waiting for him to restart the game. And he's not really looking, and he thinks everyone's pushed up, and he drops the ball, and then he puts his head down like he's still milking his injury. And Gakpo sees that and sprints towards the ball. Now, what happens then? Anthony Taylor blows the whistle. Because if you watch Gakpo, he's running, and he's about to put the ball in the net, and then Gakpo suddenly stops, turns around, and protests to the referee. So the only reason he's doing that is because the whistle's gone. Otherwise, he just runs through and he scores. Yeah, so it's all right saying, oh, we'll just put the ball in the net and see what happens. Well, no, if the whistle's gone, they cannot give the goal. And so if he goes and puts the ball in the net, he might get a yellow card, maybe he won't, but whatever happens, a goal is 100% not going to be given, because Anthony Taylor blew the whistle to stop Gakpo from going for the ball. So then Anthony Taylor obviously knows what he's done. He's basically just shit himself with that whole situation. He's panicked, blew the whistle. Yeah. He goes up to the keeper, and you can see Anthony Taylor saying to the keeper, go down, go down. And then Anthony Taylor calls the physio on. The keeper was ready to restart the game. The keeper wasn't injured. He was ready to restart the game. So bad, and Anthony Taylor then stops the game to get the physio on, just to try to cover his tracks on what he'd done. It was scandalous. And the only thing worse in the game was when he gave a goal kick when that ball got played in towards Darwin, and the defender slides in, and he's like a yard away from Darwin. The defender slides in, kicks the ball behind for a corner, and Anthony Taylor gives a goal kick, because he must have thought that Darwin had hit that. It was nowhere near him. It's like,
I mean, the Paqueta tackle's worse. To be stood 5 yards away from it and not think that's a booking. I mean, you can argue whether you think it's a red, but to be stood looking at it,
it's a minimum yellow.
Yeah. Right. So just on that, boys,
not a booking.
Do we agree that was very, very sly, and he knew what he was doing? I know his eyes weren't on it, but I think he knew. I think he knew he was leaving something on there, because just his whole demeanour was like, I don't know, it was like he just sort of moved away as though he hadn't even felt that he touched him at all. How do you not feel
very
that?
High for an accident? It's very high on the shin for it to
You've also got to factor in the Brazil-Argentina thing as well. They do leaning in on each other.
Do you think they're genuinely running around thinking that? Where are the Argentinians?
I think he was.
I don't know if they are now, but it always was the way, definitely. I think they're a lot friendlier these days, because they share private
I think he thought, World Cup winners medal, you cunt, take this.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's... Like, it's one of them where I don't think it's a red card when you're watching a replay of it, I'm like, that's a yellow. I don't think it's a red.
Terrible,
but
yeah.
if you look at the still frame of it,
Yeah, it looks terrible.
which is what Curtis got sent off for, was like the freeze frame where he's made contact. You look at the freeze frame of that. I think Terry posted it in the chat, didn't he?
Yeah,
and I'm like, you look at that and you go, we've seen reds given for that. I don't know how, like, you know, how are we deciding these things now? Because if you go on a freeze frame, then it's a red. I saw one
replay and thought yellow.
Yeah, same. On a replay, it does look like a yellow, but then the freeze frame...
Even slowed down, I was like, that's 5 minutes in, that's a yellow. It's a big shout for a red.
I'm the same as you, but if you're judging it on the still frame, the freeze frame, which has been done in the past, then that's a red. But I agree, I think it's a yellow card, but for him to not give either. But in fairness...
Yellow for me.
This is not me saying Anthony Taylor's trying to screw us over and he was biased. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying Anthony Taylor's shit, because he also... The one with Gravenberch pulled Kudus back by the shoulder twice, and he didn't even give a free kick for that. And he could have booked Virgil for the foul on Antonio as well, which that was an absolute stonewall yellow card. So I just thought he had a horrendous game.
Well, the attack's gone on, hasn't it? That's why that rule is apparently... If you clean someone out, I hate it as well. Like, if you clean someone out and the ball doesn't go out, they still get their attack. Apparently, it's not a booking, which is insane. But
we had that ridiculous one at Anfield earlier in the season, didn't we? I can't remember who it was against now. Do you remember it though? Like, someone had hold of our player and was like pulling him back for about 10 yards by the shirt. And
slows everything down.
Yeah, and a play went on and he didn't bring it back. I can't remember what it was now. This is just classic me, isn't it? I know. I'm not even going to ask you, Paul, because I know you're exactly the same.
I've got a vague thought of Macca in my head, but that's it. Like, I can't remember the team.
Yeah,
it probably wasn't even Macca.
I think it was Macca. I think someone was pulling Macca back, but was it Newcastle? It was Joe Linton.
At Anfield.
Yeah.
Was it at Anfield?
Yeah, it was at Anfield.
Yeah, because in my head I was at the game, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was Joe Linton pulling back. I think it was Macca he pulled back, but yeah, it was like the clearest yellow card you'll ever see, and that was the reason why they said it wasn't given. But yeah, Anthony Taylor was just wretched today, but not specifically biased, just wretched.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to do the whole referee rabbit hole, do we? But I just want to drop in. Refereeing is in crisis. It's the worst of my lifetime. Like, it's just a joke. It's shit. Routinely shit every week. That's it. That's all I want to say.
It's terrible. It is. The one where he stopped everything to come over and move a free kick by the touchline about a foot. That was an incredible bit of busy refereeing.
Oh, the busy bastard! Fuck!
Everyone's waiting for the cross to come in. He comes over, stops everything. That ball's gonna have to move 3 inches that way. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, was it even a full foot, Stu? It looked about 6 inches. It was ridiculous.
Just crazy.
Busy little traffic warden bastards. We need to talk about the...
Let's do Mo.
We need to talk about the Mo Klopp thing.
Stu, go first, because you'll set the pod on fire.
So I was fuming. Watching it in full view, first off, I was fuming. There is an element that Klopp, it feels like Klopp's the one who's starting it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got that sense.
He's the fucking manager, so just
agreed.
Do what he says. He's the fucking manager. I just feel like Salah knows what that is. He knows what he's doing there, and it's not acceptable. He knows it's going to be a story afterwards, and it's... For him to do, I just feel like for him to do that,
he's not played it down either, though, Stu. So,
no,
whereas Klopp did.
Yeah.
Have you seen the comments?
I've seen my arse a little bit about that. I was all right about it up until this, and now I've seen my arse. Go ahead, Dave. Explain.
Paul Gorst has posted on Twitter that when he was in the mixed zone, Mo got asked about that as he was walking past journalists, and he said something like, "Oh, if I speak now about it, there will be fire." And he just walked off. Whereas Klopp had said, no, it's all sorted in the dressing room, it's done, it's over. And then he's come out
Klopp
and just
looked really sad when he said it as well,
fucking petrol all over it. So.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. I don't want him here next year for a new manager. It's just, I don't want a new manager trying to find his feet with that fucking attitude of it's not my fault. when you've been absolutely fucking dreadful since you come back, like genuinely stealing 350
No, it's not even
an
exaggeration to say dreadful either. That's not hyperbole. He has
no,
been
it isn't.
Absolutely
He's meant to
horrendous.
be. He's meant to be one of the best players on the planet for us. He has been the worst player in the team regularly. I'm just that's. Yeah, I wasn't. I thought it'd just all be blown over, and it was a bit of a, that they both just shook hands, and that's fine. But yeah, it's not acceptable. Like for him to do that, if he was, I've got a little bit of, like I said, I've got a bit of sympathy for Verge when he comes out of the derby, and he's getting targeted by 3 Everton players, and he's sort of looking around, going, "Is someone going to fucking help me out here? Like I've done my job this year. Is someone else going to dig in and help me out here?" I'm not having that from him. Like. We were talking in the week about the numbers that came out about Suarez in 13-14. Like his conversion rate on big chances was like 50%.
Outrageous.
He was worth 10 goals more than his XG. Sturridge was the same.
Stu, contextualise that for everybody in terms of what's normal. Please.
So basically, if when we're talking about XG, it's just like you should be hitting your XG. That's the standard of the chances. Is like if you're getting 10 goals worth of chances, like from that position when you shoot, it usually goes in 10 goals worth of shots.
So what's a good striker outperforming?
People can it can vary as well, because even Haaland last year I think was like he beat his chances by about 6. And then also, like, he's down on his chances this year. It's just in general, it just gives you an idea. And also, it can be different. Like, you can score worldies. So you can be the sort of person that doesn't always score his clear-cut chances, but he scores worldies. Or you can be the sort of person that we all think Núñez is going to be, which is he misses a lot of big chances, but because of who he is, he gets you an extra 3 big chances a game. So therefore, okay, that doesn't matter so much. He doesn't have to be so clinical. Just saying, Suarez was our big player in that season, 13-14, when we were pushing for the title. Didn't have the same team around him. Didn't have the whole system being built around just getting him the ball, because there was Sturridge there as well. And his conversion, big chance conversion, was 50%. And he was 10 goals better than the positions that the team were putting him in.
Outrageous.
Like, Salah is not doing that. There's so many allowances for him. He doesn't come back and defend. He doesn't put his body on the line. Which you were talking about Mane. I fucking love Sadio Mane because he was a warrior, and I'd pick him ahead of John Barnes. He's one of my favourite players of Liverpool of all time because he's a fucking warrior. And for all that Salah is, and he's been an incredible player, he's scored an incredible amount of goals, he's set up an incredible amount of goals, and his movement gets him more chances, so that is also a thing. The team isn't just putting him in, he's getting into those chances himself. But there are a lot of allowances made for him, and when you're up against the wall, like I was watching some of the bits from the last few weeks where there's balls to contend with, he won't put his body on the line, he won't do that. He's a fucking shithouse when it comes to 50-50s, so that's fine, but then you have to do the job then. You have to do what we're... If you're not that guy, if you're not Sadio Mane, if you're not Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's going to go barreling into people, you have to do the business when you get the chances. You have to put the chances against
Udinese. I've just have a look in the group chat while I'm talking here. Fucking hell. There's the video footage. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. Like the video footage of Mo, in the mix zone, strolling past. Oh, it's so bad. It's not like hothead. It's not like.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I'm fucking gutted. Like I'm gutted. Fucking hell. It's like swagger, bit of a laugh, giving it.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't want a new manager having to deal with that. I'm sorry.
It's really bad.
If there's money available, then we take it. We take it and we rebuild. I'm sorry.
He needs.
Can't be doing with that.
Oh, fuck it. Have you seen?
He's a coward as well. He's a coward. He knows the manager's on his way out. He's a fucking coward. To do that now when the manager's on. There's no way on earth you would do that.
I had a defence of sorts for this. I haven't now. It wasn't a full defence because it was outrageous. However you want to look at it, fuck me, I can't. Oh, that is horrendous. That's horrendous.
That Klopp staying.
That's an absolute fucking cunt trick. That. Look at the look on his face. Look how he's fucking swanning past the journalists.
Can we bring Sadio back to sort him out?
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary, and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, Mo, I think you've fucking badly damaged your legacy at Liverpool with that, unless you come out with a massive mea culpa, I'm a prick, I was out of order in public on camera. That is so bad.
The only thing I'll say is, I'm not defending any of this at all, it looks horrendous. I would like to know what kicked it off.
Yeah, agreed. And I think Stu was right before. I can't really explain why, but I had the sense that Klopp was the one who instigated it.
It looks like it looks like as he's about to go on, Klopp, it's like he's just gone to him, don't be fucking shit. You know, because like he's been so bad lately. He just makes kind of like a little flippant off the cuff comment to him, and then whatever it is he says, like, and then Mo starts flinging his arms up and then they're arguing. But whatever it was he said is like, I'm just joking there, obviously, but
it clearly sinks in. You can see it sinking in with him, can't you? Because Mo gets more worked up.
He's stood on the touchline laughing and joking with Moyes. And he's in like jovial mood, and then whatever gets said, that's when it starts. So like I seen Carragher had put on Twitter, the only way a manager has a go at a player in that situation is because he's taken too long to get ready to come on. But it didn't look like it was that, because the other two were behind him and he was on the touchline waiting ready to come on. He'd been there like a couple of minutes, so I don't think it's that. But I don't know what it was. But just one thing I want to say about Mo is, like, I've been defending him recently by just saying he's clearly not fit. You know, you can see he can't run. And then I seen him fucking blow past Emerson on that counter-attack today, and then just play an absolutely fucking brutal pass, like 5 yards behind Darwin, who's like, he should have been playing him in to run on goal, and instead he played it 5 yards back and completely killed the move. And I'm like, that's not injury. It's not. If you're injured, you wouldn't have been able to run past Emerson like the way you did. He looked like the old Mo, just like fucking blasting past him. And then it's like the easiest thing in the world to just roll a little pass through, and he did that. And I'm like, what the hell is that? What's going on? But like the first thing he did when he came on was just miscontrol a ball, and that was pretty much how it was. Now, I can make some allowances in the sense that maybe like his head was all over the place because he just had a row with Klopp on a touchline. I don't know, but when you're being playing the way he's been playing, I don't think you're in any position to be like mouthing off like that at all, and it leaves a really bad taste in the mouth.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy is the wrong. I'm not happy with any of it. It's fucking horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. The whole thing is horrendous. Nobody comes out of that looking good. But what has absolutely flipped me the other way there is seeing him on camera, the whole incident walking through the mix zone. That's not just like a journalist giving his take on it. He's fucking swan through there. The look on his face, there's almost like a swagger. He's giving it the fucking big and like, fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. And it's not. This is not even about Klopp. And and Stu's absolutely right about everything he said there before about like, he's your boss and you have to accept what the boss says. It's not even about that hierarchical thing. It's about, you're not fucking bigger than Liverpool. Don't fucking make this story about you. You're out of fucking order. You're bang out of order. Don't be fucking giving it the big un after the fucking shit show that we've seen over the last fucking 6 weeks from everybody, including you. Don't be fucking swanning through there acting like your shit don't stink, because you fucking stink as much as anybody does. It's outrageous. It's out fucking rageous. He looks like he's not arsed about anything that's happened with the team. He looks like he thinks he's better and above all of it. Now, I don't think that's the real Mo Salah, is the first thing to say, because we've never seen anything like that from him in the years and years and years that he's been here and established himself as an all-time Liverpool great. But he's absolutely fucking... He's gone way beyond the pale here in terms of how he's responded here. Everyone's emotional. All the players are under massive pressure for multiple reasons.
and they're all dealing with a lot of fucking pressure and stress and shit at the moment. But he's got it horribly wrong, and he needs to come out with a big fucking I'm a cunt, mea culpa interview to put this right, because otherwise this is like 10-year legacy shit for me. He's out of order. He's fucking bang out of order.
See, I agree. For me, though, the issue here is Klopp's leaving in a few weeks, and you're fucking doing this now and putting a big stain over it all. It's already gone to shit with results. We do not need you fucking doing this, a big public spat, like, and now we're all talking about, like, Mo and Klopp are falling out, what's going on. Klopp, this farewell for Klopp is turning into an absolute fucking nightmare.
Well, I have to say, Dave,
it's not right. It's not.
Let me do
horrible.
it now, because I said at the time it was a mistake to announce it. Why are we announcing it? And I think it was self-indulgent. I think it was all about this whole thing about... I think in so many ways, Klopp has been, on one level, completely understandably, because he is an all-time great, been cut a load of slack, but you still have to manage people like that. And I think he's been allowed to set his own terms on some things where he should have at least been asked the question. And I think there's no way... how did anybody looking at this scenario not assume that it was going to in some way affect the players to know that their boss was leaving at the end of the season? You know, we weren't even halfway through.
What's the alternative, though? You can't keep it quiet when
you can't keep it quiet if he's had a
conversation.
You can, Dave.
You can't.
If the conversation is... You can, if it's between three people. That's
you can't, because you've got to find a replacement.
Right. So, all right... On that point, tell me about who knew we were signing Fabinho.
That's totally different.
No, on one level.
Okay, I'll tell you why it's different.
No,
you've just asked the question. I'll answer that question. You said about, like, Fabinho. We get linked with, like, 20 different players a week, and most of it, you're just like, yeah, whatever. There will have been a report somewhere linking us with Fabinho, but it just gets dismissed because nobody knows what's going on with stuff like that. Now, if Klopp is leaving and the club know he's leaving, the club have got to get a replacement. You can't just wait until June and then start making phone calls. You've got to be...
Agreed. So but I don't think that's why we went.
As soon as agents get involved, as soon as agents are aware that, like, whether you're talking to De Zerbi's agent or fucking Amarim, who hired that fucking Pinny Zahavi, by the way, as soon as Liverpool came in, he gets Pinny Zahavi in and making all these ridiculous demands, which is why he got told to fuck off. So you've got, as soon as, like, agents get involved, then fucking Fabrizio Romano's putting it out, Ornstein's putting it out. You could not keep something like that quiet, because
they went too soon, Dave. They went too soon.
Any whisper,
they went too soon.
You can say they went too soon, like they maybe could have kept it quiet till March, and then when they've got to start doing, like, phone calls with managers and all that stuff. So maybe they went too early, but you cannot keep it quiet.
Do you know why they went too soon?
Because then you get speculation.
They went too soon because Klopp has this whole thing, and it comes from a great place, it comes from a laudable place, but Klopp has this whole moral high ground thing, and someone should have said, Jürgen, it's too early. Like someone should have been having the conversation with him a couple of years ago about, you're under pressure, what can we do to help? You know what I mean? The club have not handled managing Jürgen Klopp well. On one level, that's understandable because he's an all-time great, and people think he's above all that. But he still needs managing and leading himself. You know, Mike Gordon fucking off in the middle of a season and leaving him to it when Julian Ward has bailed and putting all that pressure on Klopp, and everyone just thinks, it's Klopp, he'll be fine. You know, what makes me angry about all of this is that maybe we wouldn't be in this fucking shit show if there'd been some proper leadership in the club above Klopp at that stage. So I think I'm speaking here as somebody who has been in. It's very, very different. But I have been a leader in an incredibly stressful situation. So senior leadership position in a very, 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 on a national scale, challenging school, secondary school. Multiple measures of deprivation, special needs, poverty, major issues in that school. On a national scale, it's one of the toughest schools to work in. And then you throw that into the mix with COVID, and you've got, like, the union saying people don't come back to school. You've got teachers who are like frightened about coming back in. You've got children who are frightened about coming back in. You've got parents who are frightened about coming back in. And in that context, you have to lead. You have to pull people together. You have to find a way through, because the government is saying tomorrow you need to have people in this building. That is, I've worked in pressured situations where, you know, you're not sleeping at night because you're thinking, how am I going to deal with this tomorrow? So I do understand working under pressure. And pressure has a big impact on how people do their day-to-day. Pressure makes great people, some of the best people I've ever worked with, I've seen them crumble in that situation. And that is not something to point the finger at or something to criticise. And ultimately, I reached a point myself where I'd gone as far as I could go. So pressure absolutely fucking messes with people. So when I'm looking at this whole situation here, this is a different kind of pressure. Yes, it's not life and death, but it is absolute 24 hours a day scrutiny. It's absolutely feeling like the whole world is watching you. It's the highest stakes in your industry. These people are dealing with a level of stress that is incomprehensible to us. And I think what we're seeing here is the fallout from that. But what the whole club needed was some genuine leadership above Jurgen to navigate us through this whole mess. And I think all we're seeing now, since there was a moment where I think we're all agreed the FA Cup game against United was the moment where things broke, where the pressure cracked. Jurgen's personality is so fucking strong that he's carried them and he carried them and carried them and he's kept them all tied to him, tied to his belief, tied to his will, tied to his drive, tied to his ability to move people forward. You know, we've all talked repeatedly about how he makes players punch miles above their weight elsewhere and players fall off a cliff after they leave him. So for me, it's inconceivable that the whole of this issue that we're seeing now isn't tied to Jurgen Klopp, his own energy dropping under the pressure that he's under. But someone should have been managing him. I think everything we've seen today, we've seen in these previous games, is just about people not able to cope with this absolutely fucking immense pressure. I think Salah's under that pressure. I think Klopp's under that pressure. I think any one of these players. And coming all the way back to the Salah point, I up until that point in the mix zone, I can not excuse, but I can explain Salah's behaviour in that context. That mix zone stuff, in fact, even the mix zone stuff, you know, it's emotional, we're all freaking out. I can understand, it's horrendous, it's horrific, it's out of order, but I can understand where he's come to that, how he's got to that point. But as things stand right now, he needs to put that right. What worries me is, I don't think he will, because I think the person who should be leading the club through it all, Jurgen, looks fucking absolutely broken. Look at the state of him. Look at his body language. Look at his tone. Look at how he was communicating after the game. I just think it's an absolute fucking mess. And I think, sorry, I feel like I'm almost rambling now, but I feel like we've reached a point where the change to a new manager can't come soon enough.
Yeah, because he probably feels he hasn't got the authority anymore. He's only here a few more weeks. He can't be. I don't think in recent weeks, when the teams needed a bit of a bollock, and I don't think he's done it because.
Yeah, I don't think he gave one today, did he?
No, I don't think so. And then, makes it all the more strange if he said something to Mo before he's gone on, because I don't feel like he's been tough enough on them. I think he's just, because he's leaving, he's not wanting to. Maybe he thinks they're not going to listen to him, or he doesn't want to fall out with people or whatever. But there should have been some bollockings recently, and I'd be surprised if there was. But I agree with everything that you just said there. The only thing I took issue with was you could not have kept it quiet, because as soon as like you start making phone calls, then everyone gets to know about it, and then we've got the what's going on here. The rumours start, and that doesn't help anyone. I think he knew that, and he thought, rather than have like rumours and speculation, I'm going to get ahead of it. But I do think, maybe they could have waited longer than they did, because
we
didn't have a sporting director at the time, did we? So the managerial search was probably not kicking in at that point. So they maybe didn't need to say as soon as they did. But I do think we would have still reached this point, and the problems we've got now would have still been there, if you like.
He's definitely thought that he was going to give us a... He's looked at it though and thought it might give us, and a lot of people did at the time when it was announced. He's thought it might give us this emotional wave that we can ride,
and it did, didn't it, Stu? It did.
Yeah. He's looking at it going, it might give us an extra 5%. It might get more out of the players. You know, you can imagine Anfield bouncing for the last 10.
But the pressure of it being public has added to the pressure on him. I think if we did at least delayed it a little bit, I think he'd have had the energy to get to the end of the season. But I think he's been asked too many times about Jurgen.
you're going.
This
How's
is
it
your last
affecting the
game
players?
away at Wolves, Jürgen. What does it feel like to never be back at Molineux again? It's like every game he was getting shit like that.
I think there's an argument for it as well, though. But I think there's probably another. There's also a couple of sliding doors moments where, if certain results, if like I say, if a ball goes in instead of hitting the post, the energy, the wave carries on, if you know what I mean, and maybe it turns out to be the right decision. I think, like you're saying there, Paul, to look at it, maybe they could have waited a little bit longer. I agree with Dave that like once agents are involved about managers, it then undermines. You can't have that because it undermines the season, but. There's a load of problems with it anyway, like because I don't think Mo Salah does that today to Mourinho. So I think there's an element that you don't think he's going to come for you either. But the power situation, it sort of reminds me a little bit of that Game of Thrones quote: "The power resides where men think power resides." It's the idea that like power can very quickly just disappear. It doesn't matter that you've got the role.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter that you're in charge. You can be fucking prime minister if people don't think you're powerful. If they think the right-hand man is the power, then the right-hand man is the power. The power is where people think the power is.
It's perception, isn't it? Yeah. It's not status. It's not badges. It's not your job. It's your status within people's minds.
Yeah. As soon as people think the fucking, the general of the army is the powerful man, then here comes the coup. So it's the idea of like who's in charge is not always about I've got the job, and it does feel like maybe there is with this Salah, the way Salah's behaving there as well. Maybe there is a little bit of a vibe of there's probably some in the squad who are, like Klopp's not going to be next year, so maybe I'm not. Like, you new boys, you Soberslys, maybe that's why he's dropped off because, he's not picking the team next year. And then there'll be other players who, like Robbo or whatever, who have done all this amazing stuff with Klopp and they've got a different kind of pressure. They've got the pressure of they're not doing the job for him. It adds to the failure that they really wanted to see him go out on a high. And then also you're looking at that picture of him, this powerful man that's been, at the front of everything you've done. He's been the tip of the spear for everything you've done. And now he's diminished in these last few games, in these last few months. It's all coming apart a little bit. And I think we can overdo that it's coming apart narrative. We're fucking 3 points off or whatever it is. So it is fine margins still. It's fine margins. We're 3 points off with fucking Jarrell Quanta starting at centre-half. So there is an element of we can overdo it. But we know, we felt that we were there. We felt it was just about... Like we've said on here before, I think it might have been us three. We were like, we are probably the third best team in this race. But if it bounces the right way and if we just put a bit more effort in, maybe we get it over the line for this amazing romantic moment. And we just haven't managed to get that extra 5 or 10% that we thought we were going to have to do. It hasn't bounced the right way for us. That wildness and rawness that we thought might just get us over the line hasn't got us over the line. It's turned out that it's raw and it's flawed and it isn't quite as polished as the other two. And so now, like you say, the worrying thing for me there, with this match now, the worrying thing for me and with that, the fallout of that in the derby is what is the situation for next season. And it is like, who's going to be here next year? Who do we get rid of? Who don't we get rid of? I think we had a little chat midweek about the idea of, I think Klopp has had too much freedom to let contracts run down and things like that for players. I'm quite happy that probably won't be the case now with Edwards coming back in. I'm quite happy that we won't have Naby Keita being allowed to run his contract down at like 27, 28, with Ox or even with Matip and players or Firmino. I don't think it will be my boys can do what they want with regards to contracts. And it won't be, we know there's an issue with Henderson where Klopp wanted to give him that big deal. Edwards clearly didn't. That was a falling out point. I don't mind that. And I think you can't build your club around having Jurgen Klopp as the manager because he's a once in a lifetime. He's incredible. He's the best manager we've had. He's created the best football team we've had. I'd argue that possibly the best football team that's ever been on this island for that 4-year period. They're incredible. Yeah. So you can't build you can't build a club structure. I was saying I think his brilliance on the pitch has papered over is the wrong word, but I think he's papered over a little bit some of his financial mismanagements where he's let players leave where we should have took money for them, or we've given contracts where we shouldn't. I think the Saudi money got us out of a lot of problems where we would have had Fabinho, Henderson. You would have had older players. I think the management of those players coming to the end of their contracts was poor. And I think
quick response on that, Stu. Very quick
we were gonna eat a lot of money. Yeah, go on. I thought we were gonna eat a lot of costs on that.
Totally agree, in principle, with everything you just said. No, on all of it, every single element of what you just said. You're absolutely right. You cannot run a club where it's all on the manager just decides who you run contracts down, or who I want to keep all these players forever just because it's about loyalty. Totally agree. I just think that there should be scope within a football club to make exceptions for the right player in the right circumstances after the right discussion between the key senior people in the club. So if Klopp, the sporting director, and whoever agree, then you make the exception. But the starting point should be everything you just said there. We don't just throw money at older players. We don't just let players run the contract down. If they don't want to sign, we try and move them on. And not just because a manager wants it to be a certain way do we allow that to happen. Absolutely. All I would say is we mustn't go the other way where it just becomes an absolute. Absolutes are not helpful in any situation in life, in my view.
There's got to be exceptions.
But they should be exceptions.
Rare.
They're few and far between. They're not
agree.
like we don't have an exception every season.
Yeah.
They.
I think you can still engender that loyalty that he's got by still having a policy of you don't go into your final year. You know that. You all know that.
Absolutely.
That's an agreement. It's like, right, you've got 1 year left now, so you're either leaving this summer or you sign another deal. Which one is it? Because if you stay, you won't play next year. So it's up to you. It's your choice. I feel like we can be a little bit more forceful on that. And I do remember writing something for the fanzine a while back about around the Spurs, around the European Cup final when we won the Champions League, and how we'd sold well as well, and that hopefully that'll come back. Is that we generally sold well, and we generally had an attitude of, if you don't, like with Origi, they were like, if you don't come in with the figure we want for Origi, we will keep him and we will use him and we will. So I felt like we sold better as well, and that's gone a little bit recently.
Yeah, I think the point that you're making really is that we're I don't really want to say we're at a financial disadvantage because we're one of the richest clubs in the world.
Of course we are.
But
we are,
relatively speaking, we are. When you look at what we're competing against and the fact that nothing's done to stop it. So your hands are tied to a certain extent, which means you've kind of got to be, if not perfect, you've got to be fairly close to it. Otherwise, there is a big disadvantage there. So the way you negate that disadvantage is by being clever, smart, prudent with your money, and that's not letting players run contracts down and not get anything back for them. So that's a valid point. But also, I think your point is that you can get away with it when you've got Jurgen Klopp because he's bringing so much else to the table. Now you take Jurgen Klopp, that now. Exactly. Yeah. So you take Jurgen Klopp away.
He's like a hat code, isn't he?
Yeah. So
I look at Arsenal United. I'm like, we're back in that race now where us, United and Arsenal are all football clubs. We're not run by nation states. So therefore, who's going to be the smartest?
Exactly.
Who's going to have the best coach?
Yeah.
We don't have Klopp anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that means a new coach comes in who is almost certainly not going to be as good as Jurgen Klopp, and that's not even a criticism. That's just it's just a fact.
Well, you can't have one of the greatest of all time and someone comes in and matches him, can you?
It's highly unlikely that we're going to get one of the greatest of all time, but he doesn't necessarily need to be. If he's really good and we're really smart with the finances, we get the right players in, you move players out at the right time when you can get some money for them, which allows you to reinvest it. So if you do get all of that right, you can still compete, but the only way you're going to compete is by getting all of it right. So yeah, I agree that we have got to do things differently in terms of none of this players running contracts down, which then is a bit of a problem when you look and Trent's got just over a year left, Virgil's got just over a year left, and Mo. So it's not, we've said this before, it's not just as simple as saying, okay, let's move them on, let's get money in, let's move them on. If they don't want to go, you can't do it. So you can't let them get to this point. It's always got to be 2 years left, that's when you do it. I don't think you ever let it get to 1 year, because
it always used to be 2 years, didn't it?
It did.
Now somehow become the received wisdom that it's a year's fine.
Generally from when Edwards left, that's when it started to get to the point where you get to 1 year left, and then when it's 1 year, it's it's like the players got the advantage then.
But that's the final point, isn't it? You should have been. I think they talk a lot in the penultimate year, don't they? So between 2 years left and 1 year left, I think that's where a lot of the conversations happen.
But we didn't have a sporting director to do it.
When they're the wrong side of 30, I think going to the last year is okay because there's a game of brinkmanship then.
Yeah.
It's a little bit around.
Like Virgil and Mo.
Well, who's going to give you more? You're going to take a step down in a club, and who's going to give you more money than us?
But Trent should never be in this position that he's in right now.
Absolutely, that's
Virgil
insane.
and Mo, I agree. Because
Trent
you're also
insane.
you have to decide when like players are getting into the 30s. You look at the performance and go, does he need a pay cut, or are we going to give him the same terms? And you've got to assess that.
Do we increase the performance element to it? Like,
but you have to let that play out a bit, don't you? But not when it's a 24-year-old like local lad, vice captain, one of the best players in the squad. You don't let it get to this point, and that's. I said ages ago I was worried about that, and everyone's like, no, it's fine, it'll sort itself out. Well, will it though? Because Klopp's leaving now, and Trent's making all the right noises about.
I don't think Trent will go, but I think
but
where we fucked up is that we've given him too much power now in the negotiations. So I fucking love Trent. He's one of my favourite players in the squad. He's right up. He's in my all-time 11. I fucking love him. He's a sensational player, but there's no way
we should be
giving him the amount of power. There's no way we should give him the amount of power in this negotiation that's coming up now that he's got, because he's one of the best fucking players in the world in terms of his talent, and he's got a year to go, and we could lose him for a free. The clubs would line up across the world. You know, there must be. Every top club in the whole world would take Trent, and they'd take him with a year to go. They'd pay like. He's the sort of player they pay 100 million for with a year to go. You know, he's 25. They could have 5, 6, 7, 8 years out of him. So there's absolutely no doubt that he will be very much in demand, and we've badly fucked up just because we didn't have a sporting director. I mean, I just want to come back and say again, I am the last person who is down on FSG. Some of the absolute shite that gets said about FSG from the broader fan base, I find it embarrassing. I cringe when I read it. Like, it's just, what the fuck? Conspiracy theory shite, most of it. But I tell you what, fucking Mike Gordon fucking off and just allowing the club to just drift when they're thinking about, do we sell, don't we sell? Absolutely fucking criminal. How have we got to this position? How can we not have a sporting director if that's your fucking model? The whole thing is just absolutely negligent. These guys, these hedge fund people, they talk about themselves as the smartest guy in the room. What the fuck? How have you just fucked off and left your multi-billion dollar asset to just drift and do whatever the fuck it wants? Yes, I know you've got an all-time genius who is running the team, but he's not running the club. And by leaving him to effectively run the club, by bringing his mate in to do the deals that he wants, what you've done is you've added extra pressure onto this guy and ultimately ended up with him going sooner than you wanted him to go. Fucking incredible.
Right, now answer the question. Where's Trent playing in your all-time 11?
Is that what you got? All-time? Right,
you said he's in your all-time 11. I want to know where he's playing.
Right,
and does he know this, and is he happy about it? Because you might need to play him in midfield or inverted, because he doesn't like defending anymore. So something to bear in mind.
So you're one of them, are you, Dave?
No, I'm not one of them, but nothing.
No, you're one of them. No,
nothing I've said there is not true.
You've set your stall out.
Nothing I've said is not true.
Don't come at him.
He doesn't want to do it. It's blatantly obvious he doesn't want to do it.
Trent's too much for us. Okay, got it, Dave. Okay.
Right. Before we wrap this up, Stu, I want to hear your thoughts on the new guy, and what research have you done? What do you know about him? Are you happy about it? Excited? What are your thoughts?
So I haven't got any real knowledge on it, to be honest. It dropped this week.
Never mind then. I'll get Brown.
Yeah, I'm excited for a new. I'm excited for a new guy, but honestly, I've had an insane week. We had a game Friday.
That's all right. Well, I'll sub Brownie in, because Brownie's gone from watching Sport in Lisbon. Well, first of all, he was watching Leverkusen, then he started watching Sport in Lisbon, and now he's watching Feyenoord games.
He's got to pay for those subscriptions, hasn't he, now, for Leverkusen TV?
Subscriptions?
TV,
Brownie subscriptions?
Fire stick.
Very generous there, Stu.
On the Fire Stick.
Actually, Dave, you just grasped Brownie up on the fucking pod.
Oh, yeah. Busy to be around there now.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited because it feels like a better fit as well. I do like the idea that it's all front foot, it's counter pressing and stuff like that.
Hang on, a better fit?
Better fit than Amorim, I think.
Amorim.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, the idea that like even Alonso, I know we're all saying Alonso was a sure thing. It was quite slow and quite controlled. It felt like to me, which is fine. It's clearly done. He's done a great job at Leverkusen, and they're like watching that Bayern Munich game where Munich couldn't lay a fucking glove on them was impressive. But it's not what we're used to, and so if he is going to be sort of a bit more, front foot fiery, then that does sound good. I wasn't massively encouraged by the fact that they've been behind as many times as we have, though, in Feyenoord. It was like, it's not a very good league. It's like,
Yeah, we can do without that.
Let's not go. The Partridge thing. What does that tell you, Alan? They're great. People like them. Let's do more. Like, no, let's not keep going behind, please. Yeah, but I'm interested, excited for a new look on things. A little bit concerned now with the way it's dropping off, and also just a lot of the chat as well. I feel like we've got a big responsibility next season that we don't lose our shit with the new manager. And there was a reason Klopp came in and had to turn doubters into believers, because there was, for a long time, I said it for years, that what you'd be in the main stand, and there was a lot of fucking moaning when things went wrong, and he's sort of swept that out a little bit and gone, stop being such fucking moaning bastards and get behind the team. I think there's an element that we are going to have to accept, because I said for years, as someone who didn't watch the successful teams before this one, there would be people, for me, there were people sat in Anfield going, looking at our players and going, you're not fucking Graham Souness. What's
right,
that?
Stu, hang on. I've got to come back at you on that. You are right about how fucking whingy Anfield had become, but we can't ignore Gillette and Hicks. We can't ignore and the atmosphere at Anfield was definitely tied up in that. It was definitely tied up in Hodgson. So it was broad. I mean, you are right. That was part of it.
I'm thinking
It was the hangover from not winning the title. That was the reason it was so bad. From like
13-14.
Yeah, because that season was great. The atmosphere was bouncing. The reason when Klopp came in, everyone was just on the floor, was because the massive hangover from not winning the title, and he had the gravitas to be able to say that. And say, hang on a minute, what are you fucking off before the end of the game? We need you to stay. Now, if Arne Slot comes in and starts like saying about like not happy with elements of the support or whatever, is he going to have like are people going to accept that from him? So I agree with Stu that we do need to be like patient with this and not turn quickly, totally because I don't think. I mean, although saying that, he does seem like an outspoken fella, so maybe he will come in and just say, fucking stay to the end, Nobed, stop fucking booing the players. He might do that, and then it could go either way. If he's getting results, people will rally behind it, but if he's not, people are going to be like, who the fuck are you talking to? Do your job. And, so I worry about the hangover next season because of the way this has ended, and I worry about whether the players have got it in them to bounce back, or if they're just going to be like sulking and depressed and that next year. I think the guy might be like a really good coach. That's not going to be what makes or breaks him. It's whether he's going to be able to like pick everybody up and do what Klopp did and get everyone pulling on the same end of the rope.
I think, like all of us, I've been like watching videos, reading articles, listening to podcasts over the last few days since, was it Monday or Tuesday when it broke?
Wednesday it was, I think.
Yeah, God, it's only like 3 or 4 days. Fucking hell, it feels like it's been forever. I mean, like everybody, I've been like just consuming as much content as I get my hands on. It feels like the high quality stuff is only coming out like today, really, where you really there's people really digging into the bones of what he's done and trying to find parallels with, or trying to find how he might apply it in Liverpool. I'm very open-minded about it. I think just get a couple of bits out the way first before I talk more about Slot himself. There's absolutely no way of proving this at all. But I suspect that Edwards didn't really want Alonso. I think Edwards, and on one level for understandable reasons, does not want another Messiah walking in at Anfield.
He doesn't want another manager walking in the door who has the fans eating out the palm of his hand, because fan power is a thing in terms of how clubs are run, absolutely no doubt. And Edwards knew when he left that he couldn't compete with Klopp in that regard, so I think that's one of the reasons why he bailed, because if he wanted to kind of draw a line in the sand, there was only ever going to be one winner. I think, I think we probably did look at Alonso. I think you can't ignore what he's doing there, because it is literally unprecedented. I was going to say it's almost unprecedented. It's not almost. It's literally unprecedented what he's doing there. He might win a treble unbeaten in a one-horse race, which he's not the one-horse, with no money. It's fucking ridiculous what he's doing. A truly great player, who is very popular with the Liverpool fan base, used to play for us, and I suspect that Edwards was thinking the last thing we need if we want to establish our model, and he is right to want the model. I go back to Stu's points before. Stu was right in everything he said before. The model is right. We do need a sporting director. We do need a manager under the sporting director. We do need to have policies which are in the club's medium and long-term interests and financial interests. But I think Edwards, and I can't prove this, I don't know, it's pure guts, but I suspect, given the way Edwards left, I think he didn't want to be in another situation where he had a manager who had more de facto power than him. Doesn't matter what your role was. Stu's point before about how people see you. Doesn't matter if in the hierarchy at Liverpool you're above him. If the fans see him as the man, then he's the man. I think we probably did talk to him, but I think it was a bit mealy-mouthed. I think my opinion is that if we'd gone absolutely balls out and said, you are exactly who we want, I don't mean literally name your terms, but we'd made him feel wanted. We'd said to him, come and join us, come and be the man who takes us forward for the next 10 years. I think, take the whole Liverpool fan thing out of it, take the whole relationship with Xabi out of it, like take the whole fact that I love him as a player out of it. That is one of the most attractive jobs in world football. A very, very ambitious manager. I don't see how he says no to that, to have another roll of the dice in a job where he's just massively, massively outperformed. I do accept he could be waiting for Real Madrid. I don't rule that out. I suspect that may be the case, but I just wonder whether we went balls out for him. So we haven't. Okay, he said no. Okay. So we're now in this situation, and I am very, very reassured that I've gone for a guy who, in a context where in the market there isn't anyone who screams hire him, we've gone for a guy who appears to be able to deliver. He appears to be a complete approximation of Klopp. He's got a big character. He's supposed to be very good at motivating players. His style of football is very comparable.
Fans love him as well.
Absolutely. So he's got a big character, he's got a big personality. Of course it's a roll of a dice, because he's 45 years old, he's more than 10 years younger than Klopp, and he's coming from a league which is absolutely incomparable with ours. There are big questions over can he make a massive step up in terms of the quality of player that he's managing. It's a massive step up in terms of the quality of opponent, in terms of the opposition players, but also the opposition managers. He's dealing with some of the best managers in the world. You look at every level in the league, there are world-class coaches in some of the relegation clubs or the clubs around the relegation spots. Clubs in the bottom half of the table have got world-class coaches managing them at the moment. Can he deal with that? That's a big, 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 big if. But I think, in terms of all the things that you could look at and ask questions about in terms of does it fit what we're doing, much better fit than Amorim for me. The three at the back thing was I was thinking, okay, if we're going for Amorim, great. He's clearly got some sort of pedigree that I think will be adaptable. But I did have worries about the composition of the squad after we've just done all this work in terms of improving the squad last summer. Have we now signed a load of players that aren't going to work? This squad looks much better suited to Arne Slot than it did to Ruben Amorim. So that makes absolute sense for me. The biggest thing for me is that we're in a position now where I feel we need the change.
Now, I know change is inevitable. I know it's a fait accompli. I know that Jurgen has made his decision and he's going. But look at the malaise that's fallen across the club.
It is
time.
time.
Yeah, it is time. I mean, I think, and I don't want to be. I don't want anyone to infer that there's a criticism there. You know, I think this is. I just say again, in case anybody's missed it over the last few pods I've been on. In my opinion, this is the greatest manager we've ever had. I don't think there's any question he's the best manager we've ever had. I think he's definitely the best, but in my opinion, he's also the greatest. I think that is a conversation. I think Bob Paisley's in the mix there. I think Shankly's in the mix there. I think Kenny's in the mix there for greatest. But in my opinion, Klopp is the greatest, given what he's gone up against and the quality of football that he's played. But that's not an absolute. I fully accept that there's very strong and very valid arguments for others in terms of greatest. I think best is almost inarguable. I think if you look at the facts of what he's dealing with. So this guy's moving on, and and the wheels have come off, and the wheels have come off him as well. You know, we've talked about his body language, we've talked about his demeanour, we've talked about how sad he looked. I felt a little, and you know, I mentioned right at the start of the pod how I felt on Thursday. I know this sounds a little bit pathetic and a little bit like over the top. I felt really emotional walking into work on Thursday morning in a way I don't think I have. You know, take Hillsborough out of the equation. You know, we think about Hillsborough, obviously there are all sorts of emotions tied up with that. That's a different thing. But in terms of just the pure football side of our club, I felt like really emotional, like gutted, like sad, like I'm not going to tell you I was ready to burst into tears, but I felt really, really kind of like almost like it was a personal relationship was coming to an end, which at 53 years old, I have to tell you, is fucking weird. Mm-hmm. Like, I am a grown man. I've got adult children. I am not someone who crumbles emotionally. I think I know myself. I know my opinions. I know my emotions. I am not someone who struggles to understand who I am and what I think and what I feel. And that came at me on Thursday morning. I'm thinking, whoa, this is fucking mental. I don't even know the fucking guy. It's bizarre on one level. Yeah. So when all of this is happening, you know, I think it's absolutely understandable that Jurgen has had the fall off that he's having. I think Slot in many ways ticks almost every box that you'd want. I think there are definite questions about can he deal with 2 or 3 games a week. You know, Klopp mentioned today, and I think we barely mentioned that we played 4 games in 10 days. What the fuck? Insane. So Slot has got to be able to deal with that. He's also, I've watched a couple of quite good videos this morning that have come out today or last night about how Slot might want to do things at Liverpool and how certain players might fit into the way he wants to line his team up, assuming that he doesn't adapt his tactics for these players. But, you know, there is a lot of kind of like, there's a lot of symmetry between what we do and what he's done. I've seen these videos where, you know, I think... We can look at him coming in and imposing a first 11 instantly. But at Liverpool, you haven't got a first 11. You've got a first team squad. How do you keep Harvey Elliott happy? How do you keep Curtis Jones happy in the assumption that they're not his first choices? How do you deal with Mohamed Salah if Mohamed Salah decides I'm not leaving Liverpool? Because this idea that everyone's putting out there, and let me just take today out of the mix because I'm absolutely fucking fuming for the first time with Mo. I think a lot of people have been there before me, but I'm fuming now after seeing that stuff in the mix zone. So let's take today out. People are talking about Mo as if, like, you know, oh, we'll just sell him to Saudi. If I'm Mohamed Salah, I'm fucking not going to Saudi Arabia until I'm 38, 39, 40. You know, I'm playing in the best leagues, winning the big trophies, playing in the Champions League for years to come. You know, Lionel Messi only left European football and opted out of the Champions League when he was, 37, 38? Mo's just turned 30. He's going to
have to be bankrupt with the club as well. So let's hopefully not go down that route.
No, absolutely. So absolutely, Stu. So if I'm Mohamed Salah, I'm not walking away from top 5 football. I've got a year to go at Liverpool, and I am going to at the very least see out my contract at Liverpool.
That is
if Liverpool turn around
because he won't the transfer fee that we think we'll get this summer. If he sits tight, he gets that himself.
Absolutely.
So he's not going anywhere.
But also, Dave, I just think, let's not fucking do the fella down. He's a multi-millionaire. He's not just going to fucking Saudi at 32.
But even if he
can
does,
go to Saudi too when he's 38. He can go to Saudi when he's 38.
I totally agree with you. But even if he decides he is doing that at 32. He's not doing it this summer when we think we'll get a big fee.
Absolutely.
If he waits and like, there's no transfer
so
fee.
So Arne Slot has got to... So whatever we... And Stu's right. Stu's absolutely right what he said. That Richard Hughes... I think I'm already... My mindset is it's really Michael Edwards. I'm not saying Richard Hughes is a stooge. He's clearly somebody that Edwards likes. But he will jump through Michael Edwards' hoops. So Michael Edwards will set the tone. And if Michael Edwards wants Mohamed Salah gone, Mohamed Salah will go. He doesn't want to give Mohamed Salah a new contract. That will be the case. That is what will happen. But Mo, if he wants to do another year at Liverpool, he will do another year at Liverpool, and no one will force him out the door. So Slotter's got to be able to deal with that. That's a big fucking thing to deal with, especially after today. When he's done that to Jurgen Klopp. I mean, I have to say, just want to come back to that point briefly, and I'll shut up and let you boys come back at what I've said. Mo. I don't say this lightly. I fucking love him. I think he's fucking brilliant. I was very much of the view that we negotiate a new contract for him in 12 months' time. We wait a year, wait till he's nearly out of contract, and then we give him a big contract, but a performance-related contract to do another 2 years. And then you make it a rolling one, whatever. I was very much of that view. If he does not really row back from what he's done today, he can fuck off. It's outrageous. I could take what happened on the touchline. I've got no problem. I have got a problem with what happens on the touchline, but it's not an absolute line in the sand moments. But what he's done in that mix zone, after Klopp has said, we've dealt with it, we've moved on. Klopp has gone on fucking telly, live national telly, and said it's dealt with. If Salah doesn't row back from that, and row back from that very, very, very clearly and emphatically, then he can fuck off. He can absolutely fuck off. So that's an issue that you don't want Arne Slot walking into.
Well, that's one of the things that you're hoping that one of the things we can't know, isn't it, is what his character. You can see bits of it, and you can say the Feyenoord fans like him and stuff like that. But we can't see character. So we've got to trust that they've got the right man. I think there's a danger, and I know we disagreed on it midweek. I think there's a danger where it's perfectly fine opinion if you think that like Edwards wouldn't have gone for Alonso for that. I just think the easiest way to look at it is the Occam's razor thing, where you go, the simplest answer is probably the right one, where I think he's probably looked at it, and I don't think I could disagree with him. He's got his unbeaten team, like you're saying, could do a treble, not lost a game. I think he probably goes...
You're about Xabi
yeah,
now.
Xabi. I think that Xabi could probably go, well, I don't really need to go to Liverpool right now. I've actually probably got more chance of winning another trophy, winning a league next year, winning the Champions League next year. I imagine he'll want to give this team a go in the Champions League. I can get my head around the logic of that and going, well, I can move to Liverpool or Real Madrid at some point in my career anyway, because there's that thing where we're talking about if you've got a set of bollocks, you take it now. Maybe, but if you've got a set of bollocks, maybe you also think, well, I'll win the league 3 years in a row with Leverkusen first, and then we'll see where we go. So I think maybe there's an element of that with him, and we need to be a little bit careful sometimes.
Why have you changed your view on that, Stu?
Overselling our... What's that?
Why have you changed your view on that? You were saying...
So I think
we were of the same mind when we were looking at it. Why have you moved on?
I think once he comes out and says it, he comes out and goes, right, I've had to think about this, and I'm staying here. I'm like, right, okay, so what's his thinking? I don't think there's any shenanigans going on there. I'm like, right, what would make him decide he was staying there instead of coming to Liverpool, other than, as people have said, Dave was saying, you got no bollocks if you don't want to do it, other than coming after Jurgen Klopp. Like, people are going, oh, you don't want to come after Klopp. I think there is an element of going, especially looking from the coaching side of it, that he's built this thing. So he's built it now. He's done all the graft. Why would he want to come and do all the graft again? And then he might not get the rewards for that against Man City. Maybe he's done the graft to build this team now that's like one of the best, whatever you want to say, best six sides in Europe or something at the moment. So he's like, right, I want to give this team a go in the Champions League. Because I can box Bayern Munich off, so why can't I box City off? Why can't I go and beat Liverpool next year? I think he might look and go, I want to do that. And I think he's probably looking ahead and going, he's confident in himself that he can move to Liverpool if he wants. He can move to Real Madrid if he wants. And and I think we can be a little bit that we oversell ourselves a bit, like with the Bellingham thing. But we're Liverpool. If we ask, we get. And I think sometimes there is an element of going, no, players and managers have sometimes got this in their head where they're like, they also think they're the Billy Big Bollocks, and they'll pick and choose what they do. And on the point of like whether you need to worry about him becoming a cult hero here. Like, if Alonso came here and was successful enough, 3 years later he's at Real Madrid, so that's not a problem. He leaves, and as I said, we'd have to, Real Madrid would force him to take double his money again, and then we forced him out. So
Edwards might think, what if he's not a good
I'm saying that's
Edwards might try to replace him with Gareth Barry though, and then he's like,
love
fuck this,
Xabi
Alonso.
He went to Real Madrid, he doubled his money, and he got in the Spain team. Fucking grow up. He wanted to go and play in Spain, right? He never got forced. He wanted to go and play there. So that is fine. I love him.
That's not where I'm coming from, Stu. I'm not coming from that position. And when I'm talking about Liverpool, I'm not talking as a fan. I'm talking about we are empirically, objectively, one of the biggest clubs in the world. I mean, financially, we're top 5, aren't we? I think financially.
Are we in better shape to win the league next year? Are we in better shape to win the Champions League?
No, you're right. You are right, Stu. But it is regarded as the best league in the world, and it is the biggest challenge, and it is where all the best coaches do seem to be coming.
Is it more of a challenge than winning the Bundesliga with Leverkusen or winning the Champions League?
No, but he's done that. He's done that. That's my point.
Champions League. I think that might be a big thing for him.
He's done that. I think budget might be a problem for him next season.
I think we're going to lose Frimpong.
We're going around in circles here because we don't know why.
We don't.
I wouldn't rule out what you said, Paul. I feel similar about how much did we want him, but I also think he didn't want to come here as well. So I think it's both. And
I caveated it, Dave, by saying we don't know.
We'll never know.
I accept what Stu's saying may be the case as well. I fully accept what Stu's saying may be the case.
On slot,
it's speculative. It is speculative. Of course
on slot, I'm saying you need to. What I'm saying, you need to be in the room. I think it's the point I was sort of making earlier when I was chatting with you guys. Is I think you need to. It doesn't necessarily need to be that he's won something. That doesn't need to be a precursor because winning the Spanish league, winning the Portuguese league, or winning the Dutch league doesn't necessarily translate over. The example I was given is you just need to know that you need to be confident that he's the coming man. And if they've decided that, that's fine. And the example I gave was Jurgen Klopp when he was at Mainz. And the idea that if you were sat in a room with him when he was at Mainz, he's not won anything yet, but Dortmund are looking at him, Munich are looking at him, thinking he's the coming man. And that I was saying if that manager was available now and you could go and get him, it would be, for me, it would be a no-brainer to sit in that room and not go, right, we're gonna get Jurgen Klopp at the point that Dortmund get him. So you can still, I'm just saying that winning doesn't necessarily need to be a precursor if you're the right man.
Agreed.
The right hiring team could see it in him and go, he is ready to go and win the league with Dortmund and win the Champions League and do the
Who was it who said before that was it you, Dave? You said the personality issue is a bigger factor than the football issue. I completely agree, and I think I get
especially
the sense.
Now.
Yeah. I get the sense from the. I mean, it's my knowledge is cursory. Of course, it is. I basically, as I said before, it's like Tuesday or Wednesday. I've been like trying to dig into this guy and find out who he is. I didn't even know his name before. I think, when somebody mentioned that Spurs went from last summer, that kind of vaguely rang a bell. But if you'd said to me, who did Spurs go for last summer before they got Postecoglou, I couldn't have named him. So that's where he stood in my psyche in terms of my awareness of world football. But from the digging that I've done, clearly everybody's writing think pieces now about it. People are doing analyses. People are talking him up. All the beat writers, of course, are talking him up because that's what the fans want. But there does seem to be a body of evidence that suggests that this guy has a big positive personality and character. There is a charisma to him, and I think you did say it, Dave. I think that will be, and I'm not dismissing the other, the tactical setup. I'm not dismissing his coaching ability. In the same way that it's always frustrated me that people kind of like talk about Klopp as though he's just this big personality and that's it. Of course not. But the fact remains that Klopp's biggest factor is who he is as a leader. And if this guy, I think what will make or break this guy is how great a leader he is. We have to assume at the level that he's at and by his reputation and by what he's done in his job, that the coaching and the tactical awareness is absolutely right up there. But it's his leadership which will prepare him for Liverpool. That's ultimately what will make or break him at Liverpool, no doubt.
Yeah. Right, we need to wrap it up. I've got to go out, so yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the next game. Not even sure who we're playing. I assume it's Spurs, but I don't know. Don't care. Yeah, let's just get out of here and just try to forget about footy until the next game. All right, nice one, boys. So yeah, that's us. We're done. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.
Outside was shit, rubbish.